Okay, we are going to tie a little brim popper. We're going to be using a small foam body, and I think that's probably about a size 8 or 10 hook on this, and I have glued it at the bottom with Loctite gel super glue. So if you want a color on this, you can use fingernail polish like I do. I mentioned earlier that when I've got the fingernail polish on and the eyes, I usually put a coating of top coat. Sally Hansen makes a pretty good product for that. The first thing we're going to do is just lay a thread base so that the stuff that we're going to tie on there is going to adhere a little bit better. Now I'm going to start right behind the eye, or behind the little foam popper body, and I'm going to wrap back to the bend. Now, you can put legs through this hard foam, but it's very difficult to do, especially on one this small. So instead of putting the legs through the foam, I'm just going to make some rubber legs hang behind the fly. You can use round rubber, or this material is called silly legs. It's not round, it's really it's kind of square, but on a popper this small, this probably would work better than the round, unless you drop down in size on the round. So I'm going to cut a few strands of that loose. Got to cut it at both ends. If you go to a bass shop, they have this kind of stuff in 1,000 different colors. And this is just kind of green and black. I don't know if I want to put, I'm going to use that. Before I put that on, I'm going to put some Flashaboo on.
Strands?
Oh, 4 or 5, and then you double it, and you double the number of strands that you have as Flashaboo. So I don't know how many I grabbed here. I've got 4 or 5, and I'm going to try to get all that together. I will get it all together after I cut it in half, and I'm going to make sure my ends are neat, same position. I'm going to try and get those on there. They kind of want to move around on you. Easy, loose wraps work much better getting them initially attached.
How long?
And I'm looking at the body of the fly. I'm going to cut them so that from the length of the fly, I'm going to cut them about that, maybe a little shorter of that. Okay. Somehow I got 1 or 2 that are a little bit longer. And once I've got that on, then I think I'm going to put some of these rubber legs on. How many you put on, you got to keep in mind, this is a really small little fly. You put too many on and it may drag the fly underwater. So I've got how many strands here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just put 4 strands of these silly legs on. I'm going to lay that on top, make a couple of loose wraps, then cinch it down. And I'm going to make them just a little bit longer than my Flashaboo. My Flashaboo is looking a little short. And I've got some rubber legs in there as well.
We can put the ground, we can put the rubber thing there too.
Yeah, yeah. Because your poppers are, most of them are probably, the first one, it's going to be bigger than what I'm using, for sure. If I can find any feathers that even come close to matching. Now, when you've got the legs on, start looking at feathers and thinking about how wide you want the feather and how long you want the feather and how many pairs you want.
2 legs or 4?
I put 4 on. I'm afraid to put too many more on for fear it'll make it too heavy.
4 is plenty.
Yeah, I think it's a personal preference. Depends on what this thing does in the water. The next time you might be able to, yeah, I'll add a couple more, or I may want to take 2 out.
You
Yeah.
actually add to flies after you use it.
These smaller ones, like this one, make great brim poppers. They really work well. Were I to start this fly over, I wouldn't have as much of the thread covering the hook shank. I would have moved that closer to the eye, but too late. So I'll compensate a different way. Ready to put some feathers on? Okay, now I'm going to try and get my feathers on pretty close. I'm going to leave maybe a couple of hook eye lengths behind when I put my feathers on, so that when I wrap my hackle, I don't have quite as much space to fill with the hackle. Okay, and I've got a couple feathers on. And it's a little long. Try and find another red one.
He's 78 years old. Yeah, you're right. It sure did, yeah. I like that. Good job. Good job, Nick. Soft tackle, I probably have too much tackle on them because they're pretty parts.
I'm going to try it. I've got a green one up here. I'm going to get my 3 pair out of red, white, and green. Another green one here that should work.
really want black, though. That's bad. Oh, that's what you need right there.
No, sir, I got it.
Good to see you.
The last step is to put your hackle on right behind the body of the popper. This has got to be the worst one I've ever tied. My eyes are already watering.
It's going to be on the international stage.
Buddy, got your hackle ready? Okay. Now I'm just going to try and...
His ass on that apple. I don't play this one. I gotta go home and go to the ground.
That's my next. Sometimes I want my flight tag.
There he is at small and Kyle and
Yeah. How many turns with the hackle in the back? Just fill it?
Gary, do you ever put any weights on these things?
No, they're a dry fly. Poppers are designed to be on the top of the water. Well, that's about the crappiest popper I've tied. Any of you folks have access to a farm pond?
That's what I fish.
Boy, this should work great for a little farm pond. I miss that about this part of the country. They're hard to come by. You could probably paint these after you've got it tied with some fingernail polish if you're real careful. And then put the eyes on. This will catch brim just like it is.
paints his own lures.